My name is Jordan Jeske. Grew up in Redding, California. Grew up in a tough environment with my family. My father and mother were abusive, and my brother also was abusive to me physically and emotionally, and sort of just grew up in a rough life. My mom and my dad divorced when I was 8. So I was living with my mom during that time with my brother, and my mom wanted to move away from Redding and start a new life in Monterey. So we packed our stuff and we headed out to Monterey. Barely graduated high school, and I remember graduating and I moved out with my girlfriend at that time. We were both 19 years old, and I got her pregnant. And so here we are, man, we're these babies having babies, and I'm trying to support my family as best as I can, working 3 jobs. I had a neighbor that lived on the bottom floor right below us, and he had a friend that needed a ride home. And she was like, hey, I don't have any money for gas, but I have this. And it was meth. So I'm like, what do you do with it? She's like, oh, you just chop it up and you snort it. I'm like, all right. And I drove home, and I remember going up the driveway, parking my car, and I decided to chop up the meth and made little lines. I snorted it, and I'm just like, wow, this is such a great feeling. And it was that high that I was constantly searching for many years. And I became addicted to methamphetamines. I started running into more negative influences and bigger and badder people out there, and I started getting involved in check cashing, forgery, writing, making fake payroll checks. I think there was like a special agency that was trying to find me because of all my check frauds. I remember getting caught in a stolen car, so I knew I wasn't going anywhere. I knew I was going to give up at least 5 years of my life. And I remember going to my jail cell, and an inmate gives me this Bible. And I remember grabbing it, and I remember falling to my knees, and I'm just reading scripture. So I'm reading Psalms, reading Proverbs, and I'm like praying to God. I'm like, God, I'm sorry for everything that I've done. At this moment of my life, I've lost everything. I have nothing to my name. And I literally felt his fatherly love just come over my life, and that peace and that joy that goes beyond all understanding hasn't left me to this day. My mom got in touch with Mike Casey at the bridge, and she literally hounded Mike and Michelle, like, hey, my son's coming out, can you accept him into the program? He accepted me into his program, in the bridge program. I spent so many years on the streets and running and gunning, and I needed something a little bit more structure to help me. And the bridge was the best place for me in that season of my life. I met Antoinette, my wife, at one of the Life Church Wednesday night Bible studies. And we started to build a relationship. And I remember our first conversations, man, I told her straight up, I'm like, look, man, I'm on parole. I have a son. I'm in I've been clean for 4 years or 3 years at that time. And we get married February of 2012. And so, I moved out of the bridge and stayed in Marina with my wife. And I told Mike, I'm like, look, man, I have a heart to, start my own ministry and open up our home for guys coming out of prison. So we put our house on the market, and we started looking for other houses. And then this house was put up on the market. And it's so funny because this house is yellow with white trim on it.
Like the bridge.
Just like the bridge, yeah. So we started getting more guys into the program, probably 25 guys, maybe 25 lifers that have been paroled into our home. Overall, we've been successful, and the word that comes to my mind is generational ministry, meaning that I'm a product of the bridge, and then these guys are products of me. So these guys that I'm producing, or God's producing, and they're bearing fruit is comes from Mike as well, right? Mike's like, man, those are like my grandkids. I'm like, yes, dude, those are your grandkids. And so generational ministry, man, that's what it's all about, man. And I really thank God for the bridge. I thank God for Mike and Michelle that they took a chance on me and given me the opportunity to be where I'm at today. I will always be grateful for them.